Welcome to EdotGdot and Friends. My name is Elden Killian, and today we are going to be exploring games that I've played 20 times, Codenames. And today we'll be joined with my good friend and niece, Hanah Allen.
Hey.
Is that it?
That's me. I'm Hanah Allen.
You're Hanah Allen.
And I'm Elden's niece, and I'm grateful to him for giving me the nicer camera.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
The video quality is not so great on my camera. We could have shared a camera, but it was like in her stipulation, like in the contract. She's like, I'll be on your show, but I have to have my own camera.
And they have to be 5 feet apart from you. Or 5 inches. Or
Although
whatever.
we're really that far away from each other.
Gap is.
Why are we using 2 cameras? I don't know. I thought it'd be fun. I got a new system and I'm playing around with it. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about the game Codenames. But let's talk about you for a little bit. Who are you and why are you interesting?
So, I am an art teacher right now. That's my profession, my career. I also have a YouTube channel. I would say I am an artist. I have some things being sold at an art gallery, and
legit.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a legit artist and trying to get commissions and trying to whatever I do, painting and macrame and just a bunch of stuff. So I do have a YouTube channel, and
what's it called?
It's called Hanah Clair Art.
HANAH
CL. Yeah, HANAH art, and that's also my handle for Instagram and
okay. Cool.
everything else.
I saw something that you posted on Facebook today, that still life stuff.
Mhm. Of apples.
Something you've been working on.
Mhm. Painting of apples.
Yeah.
And then I made apple pie, and I posted about that too.
The pie was more interesting to me, but no, the art was really good.
I should have brought some to you, but I gave it all to Grandma. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I figured you had like, how many children do you have? 7?
1,000.
And then I only had like this much pie left, so I didn't want to
create a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a little brag here. I don't know if you think it's a brag, but you actually designed my logo here, the EdotGdot logo.
It looks nice. I think that I actually, looking at it, the yellow pops out a lot. So.
Yeah, yellow's kind of my go-to color when I'm doing backgrounds and stuff.
Mhm. And you also only play yellow.
I only play yellow. Yeah, that's right.
In games.
Yeah. So that's why yeah. Anyway, I like it. You don't like the you know how hard it was for me to get the transparent background. Now it's easy. I figured out how to do it, but I spent probably like 2 hours trying to figure out how to get the background off.
The logo?
I blame you. Yeah, I wanted just the logo without the yellow behind it, so I could use.
You were able to figure that out.
I was able to figure out using Publisher.
So you could put it anywhere.
Yeah, it took me a long time to figure out how to do it though.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The logo's awesome.
Mhm.
And you're so humble. You're so humble. Anyway, so we're going to talk about Codenames today. Codenames was published in 2015 by Czech Games Edition, designed by Vlada Chvadal. According to their website, they've sold 5 million copies. That must be the worldwide number. I believe it. I see it everywhere. If you anywhere games are sold, I see it. There's lots of different editions. Have you seen all the different editions? Not really. We talked about this before.
The original game?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about different versions?
The different versions.
I've only played this one other version with you. I've already talked about the other ones, the Disney and the pictures, but I've never played them.
Yeah. So on Board Game Geek, which is like the world's biggest website about board games, it's sold, or it's ranked number 89 out of, there are about 20,000 ranked games and like 150,000 games in the database. But to be ranked, it has to have so many votes, and it's ranked number 89. So
that's pretty good. Was that higher than Settlers?
Yeah.
Settlers was kind of like in the hundreds.
And even I saw some data from something before, and it was ranked even higher on Board Game Geek. It's kind of slipped a little bit recently.
That's surprising because this game is, I don't know, it's it's not groundbreaking.
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
I think it did something new that hadn't really been done before. We'll talk about
it's
that
like a
later.
matching game, but also a
Like it's very
charades
similar.
kind of a
It's
thing.
very similar to other types of games.
catchphrase.
Yeah. So like I think like the basis of the game is very familiar to
Mhm.
everyone, but that twist is pretty ingenious and is pretty awesome. I think.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that a little bit.
All right.
Anyway, it has a rating of 7.6. Board Game Geek kind of weights ratings a little bit. My ranking, I ranked it 54 out of 657 games on my all-time list in October.
Mhm.
And then, but talking about different versions, Duet, I actually ranked number 10, and that's another version of the game. Pictures 202, Disney 350, and we'll talk about that. And I've played Codenames proper 74 times, Duet 52 times now because we just played it, and Pictures 8 and Disney 10 times. How many times do you think you played the game?
Probably 10 to 15.
10 to 15?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not too much.
Alright. Anyway, so let's talk about what the game is. So the game is, there's a 5x5 grid in most of the versions with words on them, and you are trying to give a clue which ties one or more cards together, and then your team is going to guess, and you'll confirm whether they guessed correctly or incorrectly. And it's a race with the other team in most of the versions to get all of yours selected before the other teams. That's the game. I mean, is there anything else you add to that? I always try to do this slide like really basic, but
Yeah. I was thinking about like giving an example from the game we were just playing.
okay.
Just like your first clue was really good. It was Batman. The three words that are on here were Scarecrow, Joker, and Battle.
Which is funny because battle was not the word I was looking for. It
Oh,
happened
yeah?
to be one of my words, but I was looking for tunnel, like
Oh,
saying like
I was
Batcave,
thinking
like
that-
tunnels.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
it worked out. And I think that's what's cool about the game is sometimes you give a clue and people take it in a direction that you weren't thinking, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't work out. But it's kind of fun when it works out.
Mhm.
And you thought, oh, it's so clever, I figured out all three of his things. I was like, I wasn't even thinking about that one. Anyway,
That's cool.
yeah. Anyway, can you remember the first time you played Codenames? What was the situation?
Pretty sure it was at my mom and dad's house, and I think Shanna,
Okay.
your sister, brought it, and we just gathered around one of the little tables in the living room and played it with her and a couple of her kids, my cousins, and brother and sister or whatever. And pretty sure that's first time probably like 3 years ago.
Okay. I
3 or
played
4 years
it.
ago.
My very first time was pretty soon after it came out because it had a lot of buzz in the hobby, and at one of my big game nights somebody had brought it, and we actually played it with a really large group. Like I think it recommends like 4 to 8.
Mm-hmm.
We played it with like, I want to say we had like 6 or 7 people on each team.
That's kind of crazy.
It was kind of crazy. That's not yeah. Anyway, but it was off. We played like 3 or 4 times in a row. People, maybe even more than that. People just took turns being the giver, the clue giver, and yeah, I think most people had a good time with it, and so eventually got my own copy, and the rest is history. But so we've kind of touched on this already. But what makes you want to play the game? Like, what makes you like it? You asked to be part of this video. Why was that a thing that you wanted to talk about?
Something I find really interesting about the game is that the 25 words that you put on there changes every single time. So it's, you never, it just always puts you kind of on edge. Like no matter how good you are at the game, you have to be kind of clever and come up with combinations. And I've never been able to come up with like 5 words that all link together, but I would like to get to that point. You know,
I mean, that's pretty awesome.
It's
If you can
also-
pull that up.
like,
I think I've seen it like once or twice where some like, and it's like the board just was perfect.
yeah,
Because a lot of times, like, you have that chance, but it's like there's that word out there that doesn't fit,
yeah,
or that fits the clue that you have that would be awesome, but that's the assassin card, and you're like, you're just stuck with it. So it is. It's hard to, even when all the words like line up. And one thing, the design of this game is really solid because they definitely like selected these words. they did not just randomly pick 500 words or whatever's in the box.
Dictionary or whatever.
Like there is some fine tuning there, where you're likely to have things that connect together.
Like I'm always surprised that the location was like Iceland, Brazil. They put a lot of just city names in there. Or
so there's countries or cities.
Whatever. And I think that was intentional. It was like you can link a few of these countries together in a certain way, and or just say countries if all the green ones are countries.
Right. And then can I have the from the box? Can you give me the these cards, but in the original game? Yeah. Anyway, there's an example on the screen. Anyway, so
okay.
that card. So you talk about like the variability of just the words. It's like all the time, like it's a different group of words that come out. But I almost think that you could just switch the card, and it would almost be just as difficult from game to game, because you have the same set of words, but and I've never really tried this before. But if you take just a new card, then what links together or what you're trying to link together is totally different.
I think that would be an interesting thing.
Yeah, I've never actually done it, but I think it would work that way. And I think that again, like a test to the game design where like they did, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Vadal just went through and just picked 500 random words out of the dictionary, but I don't think he did. You know.
I think that what I wouldn't like about that, well, I would just. Because every time we play a new game or we're done with that game, we flip them over so we have completely new set of words.
Yeah, I think it's more fun to have new words.
Yeah, it's fun to have new words, but I would like to try that maybe once and see if it does make it. I think it would be challenging to find a different word that goes with a different combination of the words you already have seen and you're familiar with.
Right. Yeah, and maybe the familiarity would...
I would try it once.
Yeah. I played one crazy game. I went to like this little mini convention here in town, and they had set up, and somebody had programmed like a computer version where people could like go on with their phones and vote. And I think we played with like 30 people or something like that. Like there was like maybe even more, like 20 people on each side, but you're voting on your phone. And the guy who made the program, it was a little buggy, but it was really interesting. It was interesting playing that way, where you're just talking, or you're not really discussing. Like when you have a regular team, you get to discuss with your teammates or whatever. And there wasn't so much discussion because everyone's voting, and then it happens. So some people didn't say anything; they just voted. But anyway, yeah.
For the did you feel like every time you voted, you were like, okay, everyone's on the same page, or was there ever a one time where it's like, no, you're completely wrong?
Yeah, I think
like how could you
I'm trying to remember if we were more successful than normal.
Okay.
I don't remember. I know we weren't successful all the time, that's for sure. But anyway, anything else you want to add in this section?
No, I think
okay. Yeah.
I'm good with that. I would just maybe like being. I was going to be an English teacher initially. And something about like the words and understanding the vocabulary is kind of fun to me, and also when words have double meanings.
Oh yeah.
That's also a fun thing to kind of look at, like chip. It could connect with food, and it can also connect with like technology.
Right.
It could connect with maybe Beauty and the Beast because the character Chip.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things.
Yeah, that's a big part of the game too. Is that the words fit into a bunch of different genres and contexts.
Who do you like to play with? Don't need to give names, but like what kind of style of player do you like to play with? I can tell you right now, I annoy myself when I play the game. But we'll get to that in a second.
Someone who's really strict on following the rules and doesn't make dumb mistakes.
What do you mean by dumb mistakes? Most mistakes are dumb, but.
So, for example, I was playing with somebody who, like, this is the dumbest mistake you can make, but there's a rule that you can I mean, you can't say any of the words that are on there.
Yeah.
For your clue. So smoothie, I can't ever use smoothie as a clue ever.
Right. Well, until it gets covered. Once it's covered, then the word becomes available.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so this person kind of looks right at me because they're the clue giver.
Right.
It looks right at me and is like, Hanah, if you don't get this, then you're dumb. And
was that your mom?
No, it was my brother. So he's looking right at me, and then he's like, okay, the word is bath. And I'm like, do you mean bath that's right there on the paper? He's like, no, I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say like my clue. It was like going to be shower or something. So
yeah. So that is one thing. The game can kind of get ruined if you make a mistake like that.
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's not fun to play with people who aren't mindful of all the rules because it ruins the game when you are like, well, I'm not sure if it's to say this and it doesn't really fit with that one, and when they're like super like giving themselves away too much or expressing too
like,
much.
Oh, this could be a real stretch.
Yeah.
I think it specifically says in rules you're not allowed to say stuff like that. And but yeah. In fact, sometimes when I play it, I like to cover my face while they're thinking, because I don't want to like show where I'm looking or anything. I don't want to give any clues while they're talking about stuff.
Right.
Because I think it just makes it a better game. What is annoying about me as a player, especially as a clue giver, is my brain tends to like go in like weird directions. So I'm like, oh yeah, I can link these 5 words together. But my brain, it's like, okay, it only works if you think of this word first, because this word is related to that word, and then those 2 words together mean something else. But if they didn't see it the way I saw it, and I do that all the time, I'm like, how can we get figure this out? I was like, oh yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. Only in my beautiful mind does it make any sense at all. Yeah. And
also, this is something my mom does a lot. She just looks at her words that are good and doesn't really pay too much attention to the neutrals or to the black one, or if she forgets about the black one, and then she gives a clue that is directly connected to the bad ones.
Right.
And it's like,
your
just
mom,
not paying attention.
Laura, you're the worst. Is what you should be hearing here. No, I agree. So we already kind of talked about this. The only expansion or like other game you've played is the Duet, which we just played right before the video started. How did you like Duet?
You kind of made a comment that maybe we're too good for it. Because
I was kind of joking. I think if we played again, we would not do as well.
Okay.
I think we got a little lucky, and we did do pretty good. But
I did like being able to play with just 2 players. And it's kind of you're competing to try to get them to do well in the least amount of turns, right? That's kind of the goal.
Right.
Do your best in the least amount of back and forth turns.
Yeah. Okay. So it kind of pushes you to do like those 3 word clues.
Yeah, I like it. I think it was a little boring the first time just because we both did a good job.
Yeah, we actually did it really well. I was like, in fact, and I kind of messed up. I missed that one of my words I didn't get picked, and I said I was done, but I wasn't done. But it all worked out.
It was kind of mindless. Didn't feel very challenging, so I think I'd have to play it again.
Like I said, it's actually my preferred way to play the game. I like and it's not that the base game is bad. I've played the base game more, but I played Duet a lot too, and I still really like it. I used to play it a lot when I was still dating. Like, it was my date game, and I'd figure out whether or not we had like-minded all.
Chemistry.
Also, chemistry, and also like the way people play. I like playing games with people because it tells you a lot about them. You know.
Yeah.
And
that that's kind of what the people you're playing with. Like, I guess we went right to the bad ones, but the good people to play with are those you have a shared experience with, or you have shared knowledge, or you have this memory that you can bring back, or an inside joke.
Yeah, definitely. But I like, anyway, Duet. It's my favorite. It's one of my top 10 games of all time. Like, I really enjoy the Duet version, and the regular Codenames version is pretty good. But I really like the way the Duet works out. Pictures. You've never played the pictures version. Have you ever seen it?
Mm-mm.
Here, I'll show you some of the cards. The pictures version is interesting. One, because it's pictures. It also changes the rules of the game just a little bit, where instead of a 5x5, you're doing a 4x5 grid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that needs to happen.
Maybe
But,
I can kind of too much visual stimuli. Maybe.
Yeah, there's a lot of visual stimuli. But one cool thing about the cards is that all the pictures, they're all kind of abstract. And they all have...
Yeah, they're very simple.
Yeah, they're very simple, but they all have like multiple elements to them. So you're talking about like words that have like different meanings. I remember one time I was playing it, and like the way I was looking at the picture, it totally looked like the Lion King, like Simba being held up. It wasn't. It was like a snake or something. But like the outline totally looked like that to me. And so I gave this clue, and I was so angry because nobody got what I was saying. But it's because the picture to them, like the angle they were looking at it, would look totally different, or they just didn't see what I was seeing.
Yeah.
And anyway, the pictures version is okay.
Yeah, I can't see that.
I prefer the words. Like the problem with the picture version is like it's really easy to do. Like if you only need one, pumpkin, no, the pumpkin, you know. And I feel like with the words, like even like one word clues sometimes can be a little tricky. But like,
and I can see
you just tell them what the picture is, and
I can see because I was looking at like this cookie one, how it was very intentional to incorporate a few different things in it.
Yeah.
Because with the words like the double meanings.
Yeah.
And different contexts is so important to the game.
Yeah.
So you have sewing, you have cookie. It could also be like an ice cream cookie. Crumbs.
Yeah. I think they all have at least two elements. Like that's a snake and like an alien head.
Yeah.
That's a pumpkin, and like the leaves are in like a man. Jack-o'-lantern type
kind
thing.
of dancing and smiling.
Yeah.
And
So they all have like these different elements to them. Anyway, it's pretty cool. Pictures. So, and then Disney, I hate. And it's the same idea. I've never actually this one, the cards are two-sided, and they have words and pictures, like from the movies.
Okay.
And then they have the words on the back. And so, but I always play with the kids, so we always do the picture side. And this one really bugs me because, like, if they haven't watched the movie, sometimes, like, it ruins great clues. Oh. But also, it's just really simple. Maleficent. Or, like, if you get, like, multiple pictures from the same movie. Oh, Aladdin. Oh, there's like 5 of them.
Right.
You know? I don't know. Just for some reason, it doesn't hit right with me. It does have like the I really like the two-sided, like the agent card.
Maybe it's too.
And the cool little thing. That's cool. Yeah, there's just something about it. And so because of that, because of how I feel about this one, I have not actually tried any of the other branded ones. Like they have a Simpsons one, and they have Marvel, and they have. So one, I am interested in getting the Harry Potter one because the Harry Potter one's like Duet. It's a 2-player cooperative version. I'm just afraid I have the same issue. So that one I'm a little more interested in.
So would the words all just be themed to it?
Yeah. And then I just saw, while I was putting together this thing, I don't know if you ever played like a World of Warcraft, but like the Blizzard universe, like all the World of Warcraft games, they're going to make a version. I guess that's coming out.
Okay.
Or maybe it's out. And then we'll talk. I think we actually talk about this in the next one. We've kind of talked about some of this stuff. What's the fun things in the game?
Fun things. What's really fun to me is if you're like falling behind, like you messed up a couple times, and you make a really awesome comeback. Yeah. And I'm also finding that it does take everybody a while to come up with the clue because you're thinking of all the different versions of the words and but once you think about it for a while and come up with it, it's just that aha moment. Yeah. And I really like that in games where you're like solving it and you're being creative with it too. I like that creativity.
Yeah, for sure. Somebody talks about some podcast I was listening to was talking about how like they like having like that like having a moment where you feel clever. And like if a game can do that, then it's a winner. And this one definitely does that. Like, oh yeah, I feel real clever. I came with an awesome clue, you know, or I got that weird clue that somebody gave me, and I made the connection. You know, you feel clever. And but yeah, it's always fun. Like you have to get 4 on the last turn, and your words do not make sense, and so you're just trying to come up with some crazy, you know, something to give yourself a chance to win. And very rarely does it pay off, but sometimes it gets close. Anyway, what's the not fun stuff?
Not fun stuff. So, not thinking about the people, because we already talked about that.
Right.
Again, it's like when it's too easy.
Yeah. Sometimes, or like one side, like their clues like all line up like really easily, and like the other sides don't. Like,
yeah.
I ran into that one time where it's just like, I don't think I have a chance to win this. Like, they were able to say animal 4, and then they were able to say like city 4, and then I had like all these words that didn't make any sense at all.
So I guess like the opposite before we don't feel so clever.
Right. It's like,
you're like, oh, anyone can get that.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I forgot I had that thought.
Yeah, another thought. Mine for me is, so I did pick up a couple of these. They have like these adult versions.
Oh.
And I don't know. It just has. I've actually never played them, but I opened them up. One of them, I think I found both of them at thrift stores, so I paid like $3 for them, and they're on my shelf. And but I opened them up, looked at the words. It's like, I don't know if I need this in my life. You know, I'm immature enough. I don't need, you know, to be that immature. But maybe that's fun for other people. But
the game comes with the timer, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've never used it.
Yeah, it's like in my family, it's always a threat.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're taking like 5 minutes to come up with something, we're gonna start using the timer.
Right. Yeah, and I think that.
It's like just do one. Just do a word and just say one.
Yeah.
Let's
go.
Go.
As a threat, I think it's fine. Like I said, I've never actually used it, but I don't know if I've ever been in a situation where I was like, no, come on, you need to come up with something. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
You've thought long enough.
I think you need to give people the chance to think and have that clever moment.
Especially like the first turn or two. Like the clue giver, I don't mind if the clue giver takes like 5 minutes for that first clue. Because you're processing a lot of stuff. And you're, you know.
I totally agree. That first, looking at all 25 words, you're like, okay, I have to read every single one and take it all in. It gets easier as you go.
If every clue, though, was 5 minutes.
Right.
Take too long, man. Because it's not that long of a game, really. Anyway, other than that, I don't know. I really enjoyed the game. Have you played any other like word games? Have you played just one? The one where you write the words on the little placard?
No.
You might like that. Or like, or have you played any other games like that, like this? Like, you play like Password or whatever when you were a kid, or?
I think I was talking about catchphrase.
Okay.
It's kind of like this.
Well, yeah.
I would say charades is kind of like this. Giving clues while not saying the word.
Mm-hmm.
That's the basics of this game. You were gonna say how this is different, like how this does things unique.
Yeah, and so it has like that basis. Like everybody probably has some kind of background with a game where you're trying to give a clue. And they're trying to guess. Like all the drawing games. This is a very basic idea. Pictionary and win, lose, or draw, or all those games. Mm-hmm. But the twist in this, the fact that it's like competitive, and you have different words. Like when you guess somebody else's word, don't you feel so terrible? Like
Yeah.
You feel bad, and like that competitive nature and like. The limit is like I get to give you one word and a number, and that's it, Mm-hmm. And I can't say anything else, and you got to get on the same wavelength as me. Mm-hmm. It's just clever enough. One thing we didn't really talk about, I took all the time to put all those pictures on there, but it's won like every award, or like was nominated for every single award that existed, and that was only some of them. Like I couldn't fit all of the pictures for all the awards that it's won. Like it won the Spiel des Jahres, which is like the German game of the year, which is like the most prestigious award in gaming. It won some Golden Geeks for like best party game. It won everything. If it's an award, it got nominated or won or whatever in everything, and I think it's deserving. Like it did something that everyone can play, and did it really well and in a really fun way.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I was gonna add to that, like Pictionary or whatever, those, like when you're trying to get your group to guess, those are kind of isolated moments, just you and your group.
Mm-hmm.
But having the same board and the same exact words.
Yeah, like you get stuff from other people's clues, right? So you know what not to guess. Like, oh,
yeah.
I figure I know what that is. They don't know, but I know what it is. So I can eliminate that from my words. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's some
sure.
strategy to that with both teams. You get information from both kind of sides in that way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you have any final thoughts?
It's just a fun game. I think we have some people in my dad's side of the family who really don't take to learning rules well at all. And
like your dad?
Sure.
Every time I teach him a game, he's like, "Can we just play?" Like,
it's like, yeah, we were playing it, and my uncle or whatever was like, "Oh, one more rule. Like, see, there's more rules," and they're and we're like, "Oh, and remember this one thing. Oh, there's another rule."
Yeah.
Like, just like pulling teeth, trying to get them to get through it and play. But other than that,
next time you're with your uncle and he says something like that, say, "Oh man, it's like football then."
Right, that's how
1,000
I feel.
rules.
That's how I feel when I watch football. It's like, wait, why did they pull a flag? And what's going on here? And
right.
it's like every time I watch football, I learn a new.
It's like another rule.
A new rule, like what's holding and what's
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that other than that, I feel like this is a pretty fun game to get people on board. It is like my mom loves this game, and she
awesome.
When bringing people in to play it, she's like, "Oh, the rules are so easy, and you'll get it right away." And I think that's true.
Yeah, I think especially this game does a really good job. It's just a great party game. You can explain it in a minute. Mm-hmm. The one thing that I find that people struggle with, and maybe it's just the way I explain it, it's the idea that if they guess, their guess is their guess, and it doesn't matter whether you were thinking that or not. Mm-hmm. I was well. How do I know what they're thinking? It doesn't matter. Like you guess, and either you're right or you're wrong, or it's other teams, or you lost the game. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter whether they were thinking the same thing as you. They just gave you a clue, and you took it where you took it. Mm-hmm. And so we don't talk about it. And that's the rule. But once people get over that, I think it's okay. That's the one thing I think people kind of like. I don't get how I know what they know, or they don't. When you explain the card, they don't pay attention. Like, well, you know.
Yeah, that's.
I've run into that. It's like, how do you know? It's like, well, there's a card that tells me. Mm-hmm. What card? The card I showed at the beginning when I explained the rules. But anyway, those are minor quibbles. Anyway, I think it's a fantastic game. Like a great game. Anyway. Do you have anything else you want to say? All right. There you have it. Hanah said it. It's a great game. If you haven't played Codenames, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but give it a try. And anyway, I'll see you next time, I guess. I need to come up with a tagline.
Yeah, you probably should.
Where? I'm making a YouTube video, Bev.